Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to everyone watching. My name is Hana Nurain binti Harun, matrix number 273289, and now I will be telling you about why you should not turn your child into a star. The idea of a child star now is no longer foreign. With the emergence of social media platforms like YouTube and Instagram, it is so easy nowadays to be building reputations and influence through them, even at an early age. A child star can be born through many channels: acting, singing, modeling, and even YouTube. But most of them start off early in the acting scene, like Lindsay Lohan and Macaulay Culkin. The definition of a child star doesn't only restrict to kids who are currently active in the scene that they are involved in. As an example, an adult actor who had an early start to their career is still considered a child actor. If your child is blessed enough to become a star with a reputable recognition and steady job opportunities, that will actually unlock a whole lot of other issues regarding their upbringing. Just as we have heard, child stars often spiral down upon reaching their peak or adulthood. Being a child actor has always been tough, and social media just makes it so much worse. Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to Madam Nurul Akmal and everyone watching. Today's topic is regarding child stars and why you should not push your kids to strive for stardom at an early age. First of all, let's talk about how and why child stars usually come to be. Firstly, kids can be nurtured early and there will be less competition for them if they were to enter the industry early. Kids who are brought up into the stardom either have connections to the industry or their natural potentials are recognized by the industry. By starting them out young, their skills can be sharpened out even earlier. Take Gigi and Bella Hadid for example, who started out their modeling careers due to the influence of their mom, Yolanda Hadid, who was also a supermodel during her earlier years. Kids have a massive imagination which helps in sharpening their skills. Children's brain is most absorbable from infancy to the age of 6. Unlike how many things, no children are really born talented enough. They might have potential, but that potential must be stimulated for them to be able to grow into that set of skills. Just like how the training of Olympics athletes start around the age of 3 to 4 years old, some parents also will enroll their children in courses concerning the field that they are interested in. For example, there are classes in countries like China who trains their youngsters on modeling skills like walking on a runway. Other than that, starting them young also limits their competition in their chosen field. Starting kids younger than usual means that they have extra time before they are deemed too old to be in the industry. As an example, in the acting scene, there will be less competition for your child when you start them young because kids grow up faster than their characters will. In the case of the Diary of the Wimpy Kid film series, the child actor for the first 3 movies had to be replaced on the 4th one simply because the original child actor outgrew his character. They had to recast the role to someone who would fit the age that the character is supposed to be. Next, kids are also introduced to stardom by parents who wishes for glory. Achieving fame and success at an early age sounds very tempting, but not everyone can actually make that dream a reality due to how hard it actually is. Like mentioned prior, kids can be shaped into stardom from an early age due to the influence of their parents. For a kid to successfully launch a career in their chosen stardom field, they have to have either a very supportive parents or their parents themselves are well established with connections. For example, child actors are typically encouraged through nepotism, like Jaden and Willow Smith, whose parents happens to be Will and Jada Pinkett Smith. Other than that, we can also see a recent spike of trend in momagers, a combination of word between mom and managers, with one of the prime examples being Kris Jenner, who is the matriarchal pioneer in the Kardashian-Jenner clan. This family clan started getting publicity around the year of 2007 with the release of a controversial scandal from one of Kris's older daughters, Kim Kardashian. Kim, who was then more publicly known as the assistant of another infamous TV personnel and heiress, Paris Hilton, wanted to break out of that bubble. With the help of her mom as a manager, the both of them had managed to build an entire empire for the whole family. With her younger daughters becoming supermodel and influential businesswoman, it is no denying that Kris is the great momager, shaping her somewhat normal family into an entire celebrity clan. Another way that a child can be turned into a star is when they are recruited into the scene by casting directors or managers. Comparative to what many think, most talent agencies or entertainment companies actually do have a specialized department that deals with children or underage talents, be it management or training departments. Through these talent agencies, casting directors would sometimes make casting calls to find talents or suitable youngsters who would be suitable for their project. Despite what many would think, the demand for kids to play children roles in this industry is actually very huge. Justin Bieber is actually one of the success stories that can be used when talking about managers seeking out young artists or talent scouting. Scooter Braun initially encountered Bieber when his mom posted a video of him busking in his hometown when he was 12. Braun initially contacted his mom, who then agreed to meet up with him, and through more discussions, Braun managed to convince both Justin and his mom to move to Atlanta to kick up his career. Aside from the Western entertainment industry, the norm of talent scouting can also be seen in the K-pop industry. It's been known that most K-pop idols out there were either street casted by the company's staff or they would audition themselves. These companies would start casting kids at a very young age so that they could train them to debut preferably while they are in their teen. Kids as young as 7 years old could be given chances to partake in a training that would eventually debut them as idols. For example, prominent and established idols like G-Dragon started his K-pop journey at the prime age of 6. But though children can achieve success, exposure to limelight at too early of an age does have its downsides. It's hard enough for adults to get used to the business, but having to be a kid in this setting is a whole another struggle. Now, let's dive deeper into the dark sides of child stardom. Most obviously, starting them early means earlier exposure to the stress of limelight. With fame, there would also be attention everywhere. As celebrities, your daily life is always surrounded by camera-bearing paparazzi. With constant eyes on your child, security and privacy now seems like a massive issue. Underage stars are usually very vulnerable in these situations and are very easy to be nitpicked on. With the lack of security on their life, they could easily be a victim of witch hunting and stalkers, and all of that thing could affect their childhood. All the stress that they have to face from an early age might develop into something much serious, like substance abuse or mental illness. Some of these stars have had a smooth transition into adulthood, but there are still many of them who struggle or still struggling through addiction, toxic surrounding, and even legal troubles. Also, having to hear how precious you are and how talented you are can also detriment someone's perspective and their confidence. Your child might feel like they are on top of the world with the constant praises, and this might leave them a bit bratty in the eyes of the public. This is actually very dangerous long-term wise in terms of both their careers as well as their upbringing. Next, your child will be groomed by adults surrounding them. Unlike famous children of the President of the United States, whose privacy and rights are always protected by the Secret Service, other famous children may not have the same kind of protection. Child stars are not usually equipped with that kind of respect, therefore they are often treated as if they are adults. Still naive, they can easily be taken advantage of by those surrounding them. Kids in Hollywood have always faced dangers, and they usually come from within the industry itself. With bad influences left and right, child stars are often forced to grow up at too fast of a pace that they weren't supposed to. For example, child actor Mara Wilson actually revealed that looking herself up on the internet was one of the gravest mistakes that she has made early on in her career. Not even in her teenagehood, she found out that there were sites that falsely advertised her nude photos, and she figured out how intensively the discussion about her body was really is on the internet back then. Lastly, your child will lose their innocence or their childhood. As children are typically forced to grow up at a rapid pace due to immense popularity, some sort of shield or protection must be reinforced to protect the child from toxicity. Before the internet was as massive as it is today, it is easier for parents or managers to shield children from everything. But as social media platforms are now considered important for their careers, it is impossible to completely shield a child from interacting with it. Unless parents or managers work all the time to monitor their child's social media activity, which can be overbearing, young stars are mostly in control of how the world perceives them through their own social media platforms. And at the age of 13 to 16, they're making quick, on-the-go decisions about their own protection and privacy. With the existence of such platforms, it is simpler to connect with your audience personally by showcasing them a tiny bit of your life. However, with such revelations, jealousy from both friends and strangers can be very overwhelming to these kids. Your kids can start to question whether their self-worth depends on them or their fame. Introducing your kids to stardom at too early of an age can also make them lose their interest. For example, Justin Bieber signs his contract with music in mind, but as his fame turned out to be too overwhelming to him, his entire career nowadays doesn't only depend on him making music, but also him as a socialite. all simply because he had to grow up under the spotlight. Child stardom might seem like a blessing, but in all honesty, it can be a curse if not handled correctly. The life of a child star sounds glamorous, but sadly they are depressing. Many child stars become washed out and lose their fan base. Not only that, they also lose their youth and innocence. As conclusion, children are not always seen as children in the showbiz. To the industry, child stars are just like any other stars. They are paid workers. Children generally does not have much expectations. They are expected to behave just like kids. Child stars, on the other hand, are strapped with the expectation from parents and producers to succeed, and by the general public as a public figure. There are so many undisclosed atrocious attributes that child stars have to face. Therefore, if you truly care about your child, please don't put such an innocent soul in front of these predators. Some say that if a child wants to be famous, they have to be the bearer of the crown that they wore. But to me, that is a very unfair statement. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to my speech. I sincerely appreciate all of the attention and interest that you have given me today. Thank you.